shared screen. That's what. All right, let's go. Okay, so we're gonna dive in. Okay, so you want to make sure, as I was kind of saying, you want to make sure that you are setting yourself up and putting yourself in position. Write this down. Always be putting yourself in position to create leverage. To create leverage. If you're not putting yourself in a position to create leverage, you're not really giving yourself any opportunity to create anything at all. Leverage gives you a sense of not power in a negative way, but you have control, or at least you can regain control no matter maybe the circumstance. And this comes down to preparation. This comes down to priorities. This comes down to intention, kind of the theme of what I was just saying. And I'm going to say this, you've heard it before, but I'm just going to be blunt. If we're not applying it, we don't really know these things. You only know something if you're doing it, and not just doing it one time, you're doing it consistently. You've got to treat this like a business. You can fill in the blank. Treat this like a business, and it will pay you like a business. It will pay you like so. If you treat this like a hobby, if you show up when it's convenient, you show up when only you feel like it, when, I don't know, it's just, maybe I'll get there, right? You're going to get paid like that. Like I know I have, and that's why I'm talking about it on this call. And I want to transfer this mentality and this preparation mindset over to you guys, because I know what it's been doing for me, not just my movement towards my goals, but my entire energy level about what I'm doing, because I'm documenting everything, because I'm treating this like a business. I'm a professional in what I'm doing. Okay. So treat this like a business and you'll get paid like it. And you decide that. Okay. So the last thing I wrote down was prioritize your life. So this isn't just about the business. This is about like how you do anything is how you do everything. So your day to day, what does that look like? From the time I wake up in the morning to the time that I go to sleep at night, I have it documented in my calendar. I try not to keep any white spaces because I know myself. You have to know yourself. This is a game of getting to know you. And I know that if I have white spaces in my calendar, I am more susceptible to distractions. I am more prone to not getting back on the horse or following through with what I said I was going to do, or just overall being prepared. I know I'm going to be on a call. I know that every Friday when we have our overview, skill set related calls, I'm going to show up with value and a plan for whoever's on, whether it's 20 people or 2 people. And I've got to be prepared for that. And if I show up, because I always going to show up, it'd be really weird if I just stopped showing up. You have to start thinking like that for yourself. It would be really weird for me, Abby, to stop showing up. It'd be really weird for me, Mason, to stop showing up. It'd be really weird for me, Caitlin, to stop showing up. Just giving some names, okay? Everybody on this call, you have to start to think like that. It would be really weird if you just stopped showing up, because your presence matters on this call, so on and so forth. And not just this call, but everything you're doing. So you've got to prioritize your life. What does your day-to-day schedule look like? I know exactly what I'm doing when I wake up at 4:30 in the morning. And it's not about the time and how early it is. That's just when I start my day. I'm the most optimal knowing myself early in the morning. I don't do well if I'm going to bed late at night. If I do, I have to completely rewire my schedule. Maybe you're the complete opposite. Maybe you have a later night and a later morning. Okay. You have to note, you have to determine that and stick with it. Prioritize everything. So I'm going to talk about, before I get into the follow-up portion, because last week what we went into was building rapport. And I hope that all of it was valuable. I hope that the examples that we went over, the information that I shared with you guys was helpful and gave you insight and perspective, and maybe even confirmation for the things that you are or are not doing just yet. Okay. But I want to talk about goals for a second. I want to talk about achieving the goals that you have. And we don't need to type this in the chat. We don't need to do a, sometimes I think when we type in the chat of what we're doing and what we're not doing, it can be a one-up competition, or it can be, I don't want to look bad, or I don't want to, whatever. So we don't need to do that. But I want you guys to rhetorically ask yourselves, what are your goals right now? And I'm not just talking about, I want to go platinum 600. I want to go P1 by the next convention, P2, whatever. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what are your daily goals, because the only way that you're going to achieve the goal that you have for yourself in your life, whether it's your trading goals, your business goals, residual income, life goals, okay? Or maybe you want to, get that new car, or make sure, you have your family taken care of, okay? Whatever it is. In order for you to achieve those big goals, it always, always, always is going to come down to the little things, the small things. What are you doing every single day? You can't win the year if you don't win the month. If you don't win the week. If you don't win the quarter. If you don't win the day. You don't win the hour. You have to win the day. You have to learn how to win your day to day. And honestly, asking yourself, you don't have to say it in the chat, but honestly asking yourself, have you been winning the day? Have you been winning the day? And you can't even get to a point to identify what that means and what that looks like until you know what your targets are, until you know essentially why you're doing what you're doing and your vision of where you're going. So first of all, we have to get clear on what our goals are. What do we want our day-to-day results to look like? And the first thing that I can say, and I'm going to share my screen so I can show you guys, is once you've identified those goals of your day, then you want to identify the actions / habits, the daily actions / habits that you need to be implementing in order to achieve those goals. And some of you guys have seen this. Some of you guys may have not. I'm going to share my screen so that you can see. I've been sharing this with a few people. I just literally started really keeping track of this the other week. Last week wasn't really even a full week because we were moving, and I didn't even start till like Wednesday. And so just to give you some context. So week 1 of October, this is quarter 4, week 2, so on and so forth. Now, these are my numbers. These are my actual numbers that I've been getting. And I'm just being full on transparent with you guys. I don't have anything to hide. This is where I'm at. This is what I'm working on. And I'm aware of that. And I know, and I'm okay with sharing where I'm at with you guys, because I know where I'm going. I'm not going to stay here for very long. And I had to really, I had to really get over that, because I have always felt, and I think once you start to grow in your leadership and you have people that maybe look up to you and you know that they do, or they rely on you, you kind of feel like you have to have it all together, or at least make it seem like you do. Not as if like I'm lying, but because I'm not. It's just I may be struggling to be consistent or sustain and maintain or whatever. And you kind of have this feeling of you have to show up as if everything is all together. And I'll be now the first person to tell you, I don't have everything all together. I still go through struggles. I still go through my inconsistencies. And that's the part of being a great leader on your journey to being a great leader is you need to know how to self-coach you. You need to know how to self-motivate you. You need to know how to get yourself back on track. Great leaders always get themselves back on track. Okay. You don't want to be off track too long, and you're just, I don't know. You've got to be able to get yourself back on track. And so let me get back to my point here. These are some of my daily goals. Now, I don't focus on the goals because then I'm just overwhelming myself. Then I'm overthinking things, because Mike Navarrete says it best, especially with trading, is are you willing to compromise your plan, your trading plan, to hit your goal? Maybe it's 10% for that week. Well, I don't do that. I don't set my trading goals up for 5%, 10% a week, or to take this many trades. No, I set my goals up personally based on what I've learned from Mike Navarrete, based on risk to reward. Every trade I take, if the trade is there, I'm taking a 1 to 3 risk to reward, 2% risk on on my account at a time on my trades. And I'm not willing to deviate or compromise my plan. And the only reason why I bring that up is because I'm not willing to deviate or compromise anything. It's got to be really, really, really important. But I'm not willing to compromise anything to not achieve the goals that I'm setting out for myself, or in this case, the habits and actions that are gonna equal or get me to my goals. Yesterday, I'll be honest, I clear this every night, so I have a fresh slate in the morning. And so yesterday, I went to bed with one exposure. Just being honest with you, and I'll show you my conversation pipeline. I had 3 people who I sent them the link. I don't count them as an exposure if I send them the link. I have to add them to the page and tag them in the video. It's not an exposure until that happens in my book. So I had 3 people that I had sent the link to, and they didn't get into the page yet. And I was like, damn, I would have gotten 4 exposures, but I technically only got 1. And it's all good because those will probably roll over residual exposures into today or tomorrow, and that's not even including the conversation I'm going to start today, whatever. So I focused on that, and I'm telling you that because it's not like I was beating myself up when I went to bed. I was like, oh my god, I didn't get 2 exposures. I knew the work I put in for that day, and I'm giving you guys all context of the thoughts that go through my mind on a day-to-day basis, because when you've knocked it out the park. When you've put in the work, when you've been intentional, when you've been, making things a priority, when you have your day-to-day set up, when you've been winning the day. And that's the attitude and the heart and the mindset that we've got to cultivate if we want to start to treat this like a professional in a business. So let me get into some of these habits, and then I'll go into the follow-ups with you guys. But these are some of my daily goals. I'm keeping it simple. Okay. 2 exposures. Sometimes it's more. 2 follow-ups, one post in the Facebook Digital Academy page. Okay. 1 go live session in back test. 5 push-ups. I have to actually probably switch it up because my chest has been hurting and I need to give my back some love. So I might alternate 5 push-ups, 5 pull-ups. Anyways, 1, and then the last one is 1 audio. And I think sometimes, I forget who I was talking to about this, but I think sometimes when we listen to audios or books or whatever, we are just, and it's okay to just listen because you're building up maybe a positive mindset, or you're, subconsciously programming yourself. I get that. But I can find myself sometimes just like listening to stuff and I'm not actually producing. Does that make sense? We're just consuming. We're not producing anything. So I'm directly correlating the things that I'm doing when it comes to passive, active stuff, not income producing activities, but just active stuff. I have to make sure that it's tied to something that's going to I know posting isn't necessarily an income producing activity, but I need to make sure it's directly correlated to income producing activities. I believe if you are showing up on your social, you're providing value, directly correlated to how you can help people or your journey or experience, whatever. It's only going to help you with people seeing your page and trusting you and increasing your likability, and everything in between. So I have an audio here, or a book, could be something I read, and I have to it's directly correlated to content that I make. So I just put done once I do that, which I did that yesterday. So here's the goals. Okay. You guys can copy this. I don't care. Or you can write your own. Okay. I recommend to maybe keep it somewhat similar with some of these. But when it comes to exposures, what's the action? Type it in the chat. What is the action to getting an exposure today? What's the action to getting an exposure today? Thank you, Al. Start new conversations. Yes. Talk to people. The only way that you can get an exposure is if you're talking to new people. And when I say 2 exposures, that's another thing. These aren't people that I've been talking to 5 times over. This isn't the same person that's now seeing their 6th exposure. I don't count that. These are new people I put on here as an exposure. Okay. So yes, you have to start new conversations. If you're not starting new conversations, you have no window of opportunity to getting an exposure. Okay. That's number 1. So I would put next to, I can put it right here just for the sake of this call. I would put right next to exposures, the habit. I'll just erase this just for this. Okay. The habit or action that you must take. Okay. Daily action, new conversations or prospect. That's it. Just prospect. There we go. Oh, I didn't do that. Okay. What's this one? Who knows how to get to, I noticed follow-ups were like one of my things. And this is like, this whole journey is about self-awareness and getting real with yourself, seeing the parts about you that you don't want to see, the parts about you that you just want to stuff under the rug. You don't want to acknowledge, you don't want to address, you don't want to get real about. I was sucking with my follow-ups. I'm killing it with my follow-ups right now. I am killing it. I don't miss a beat. And I'm not saying that in an ego way. I just know I've been doing it. Like I would, if you maybe a few months ago, I was all over the place with my follow-ups. And it would take me, like, I wouldn't do my follow-ups for probably like on and off for a good 2 weeks at a time. And just being honest with you guys, and it would take me probably a good 1.5 to 2 hours to go through all of my follow-ups from those 2 weeks. It was crazy. And I was like, never, ever, ever again. And it would just put me behind. And then it would just like, and then I'd rush through it. And it wasn't like personal or anything. So in order for me to get 2 follow-ups, what do we need to do? What do you need to do in order to be able to follow up with people every day? I know you guys know this. Don't overthink it. Just type it in the chat. How can you create a follow-up? Keep track of prospects. Yeah. Set reminders. Yep. That's all true. Anybody else? I'll tell you. You get to a point where you have a follow-up once you've invited them, once you've gotten an exposure. Okay. Yes, Trello. That's right. You get to a point where you can have a follow-up because you've invited. So you have to ask yourself, how many invites, promotion, okay, promotion, you can put that in there, are you doing a day? I only have follow-ups because I've invited the day before. I was inviting 6 months ago. I was inviting 2 years ago. Okay, I was promoting 3 years ago. Okay, this next one. I know this is really tedious. We'll do just a couple more. How do we get to a point where we can, because some of us are thinking like, I could never post once a day in the Facebook Digital Academy page. I bet you somebody's thinking that right now on this call. I could never get to a point where I'm posting once a day. I've been doing it all this week. I know you can. I know if I can, you guys can. And I'm not above anybody on this call. I'm just doing the work. That's it. I just look at this like it's a business. Like this is residual income that I'm funneling into my portfolios, my accounts, my future. This is very important to me. This is priority. This is urgent. This is number one. That's how I see it. You've got to shift your view to see it that way if you want this to ever become anything for you. The only way that you're going to get to the point, actually, I'll have you guys answer it. What is the way that you're going to get to a point where you can post every day in the Facebook Digital Academy page? How do you get there? What's that action that needs to be taken? Alex, you can't answer. I know somebody on here knows it. Jacques, you said the first step. What's the first step? You're like, Abby, get to the point. All right, I'll tell everyone what the answer is.
Be a product of a product.
Yes. Jacques, you are correct as well. Results are important. Like that's what we're posting in the page. Results as well as what you've learned, what you've gained so far. And switching the narrative of a result meaning a dollar sign. Most of my posts, if you guys go in there, have not been money related posts. I've maybe posted a couple times about this is my profit, but I never actually said this is my profit. I used a different word. But the way that you get to a point where you are posting in the Facebook page isn't necessarily, oh, I made this amount of money. No, go back and look at all the posts that have been in there. It's not just money related posts. It's by being a product of the product. Every morning I have it scheduled in my calendar. I watch Go Live with an educator. And through that, I'm using a tool. I have, an app on my phone called SwipeCoin that sends me notifications, or the Scalper or Pip Talk. And I'm making a quick post about whatever I'm using at that time. This is why it's so duplicatable, because if we're actually being a product of the product and leveraging what we have in front of us, it becomes a lot easier to make a post a day. And I'm not telling you guys to do that every day. I would have a goal of it because it will help. I've had people message me, and it's not even for me. It's for my prospects that I'm tagging in there. And also for the whole team that's also in there as well, for whoever's leveraging it. And I've had people on Mike's team message me saying, hey, thank you so much for posting in the page. Because you made this post, my prospects saw it, and now they're asking me to get started, or now they're asking me to get more information. This ain't even about me. This is about the whole team. I'm not thinking about Abby when I'm making these posts, because that's where we go when we think about, oh, I can't do that. You're thinking about yourself again. I'm just being real, guys. Leaders you can't think like that. Leaders don't focus on their own problems, because if they do, their problems are going to get bigger. Leaders focus on helping everybody else solve their problems. And it has to be a deliberate mentality. We can't live our life on default, just going through the motions and thinking that we are thinking correctly when in reality we're not. And it's what is probably holding us back. Okay. All right. I'm going to move on. Use the product. Use a platform. That's it. Okay. And I won't go into these. These are kind of like more of mine, but you probably should have something like this, a Go Live session. I don't put like, oh, take a trade a day or, 10% a week, like I mentioned. Because if I did, it would just psychologically, I know it's going to, 10% a week is not sustainable. For my trading. I think you can get to a point where maybe you're doing that, but reality, I can't control the market. I guess you could have a goal of 10% a week, but I've personally, and speaking with Mike at convention, Mike Navarrete, he says he doesn't set goals around percentages or number of trades or dollar amounts for that matter, for his trading. He says he focuses completely on risk to reward, and that being his goal. And the only way to, let's say your goal is 1 to 3 risks to reward on every trade you take. The only way to get to that point is if you're not deviating from your plan, is if you're very clear and concise on your rules. So this is not a trading call, so I'm going to move on from that, but you guys get my point. I just wanted to give you guys some context to this, because if we aren't focused on winning the day, if we don't even know how to win the day, if we don't even know where to start, this is the conversation that we've got to be having. And it's the only way that's going to really set you up to win the year, win your 2023, win the rest of 2022, win the month of October, win the Q4 of this year, win this season of distraction. It's just winning the day. I'm not trying to win tomorrow yet. I'm trying to win today. And you do that by knowing your goals, but not making that your entire obsession. I'm obsessed with my actions. Okay. All right. So hopefully this is helping. Drop a 1 in the chat if you guys are still with me. If this is helpful, if this is making sense, if this is value in some way, shape, or form. Okay. So let me move on. I wanted to give you guys that so you can kind of connect the dots between what's really going to help you do that. So I want to also share my screen with you guys right now with what I wrote down. I put it in the chat earlier this week. I'm not sure if everybody saw it. It's all good. But I want to share my screen and show you what you could say when it comes to somebody asking you what you do, and also how to actually invite and confirm the follow-up. We talked a little bit about this last week, but I want to go into a little bit more detail on this this week. So let me, all right, appreciate you guys. All right, so if somebody's gonna ask you, what do you do? These are literally the same thing that I'm writing, just a little different. You could say something like, I educate people on tools they can use to start putting their money to work online. Okay. Or you could say, I educate people on the tools to start putting their money to work in the financial markets. You might even be able to add in there, I trade currencies and, educate people on the tools to start putting their money to work in the financial markets. You could say something like that. Take a screenshot of this, whatever. But these are just a couple ways that you could express what you do when somebody asks you. If you're talking to somebody that they maybe know about investing in the markets, you can maybe say this one because it's more specific. If you're talking to somebody that maybe doesn't know what you do yet, you don't necessarily want to get into the full details because maybe they are skeptical and they have their guard up with anything that is related to that word called trading. Maybe you don't say that. Maybe you just say this, because as you guys may be aware, the Academy is no longer just a trading platform, which is insane. We literally and I'm so biased probably when I say this, but I have not seen a platform where people can literally learn from any area pretty much. And I know it's just going to continue to grow while having a set community and network to grow with and learn from and build upon, creating a residual income, which that is an income that people only dream of. They just don't even know it. People wish that they could get paid every week or with trading at any given time of the day if they had the opportunity and had the chance. They just don't know that it's this residual income, the markets, right? People dream of that type of income, and we can do it here. And they're coming out, I think it's October 26th, the SMX, the social media thing. That's crazy. And just their whole Empower Pack, I'm still blown away on the insane discount that us that have been a part of it are getting with TLX. If you get the Empower Pack and choose TLX as as your 2 with whatever other market, I'm just I'm not paying that much anymore. That's crazy. So this is a couple things that you could say. Okay. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm literally just pulling this stuff from what I'm learning from my mentors. Okay. And then this last part is inviting and confirming the follow-up. Okay. I think this is probably and you guys can tell me, this is an area that people maybe struggle with, not the most, but we do maybe struggle with confirming and getting that qualified invite. Okay. So again, as I was mentioning last week, a little bit is there is a best effective way to probably do something. But I also know that there isn't necessarily there is a wrong way, but you've just gotta be consistent with whatever way you choose. And what I'm trying to say with that is, I know there's been multiple ways that we've been taught on how to follow up, confirm a specific time, things like that. And you can definitely do that. But I've noticed that sometimes it becomes an interview with that person to get them to confirm a time, or they don't end up actually watching it at the time you confirmed in the first place. And then you're trying to find another time. And it becomes this big, back and forth thing, when most of the time what I've seen, not all the time, but most of the time, if I'm confirming that they can watch it sometime today, and then confirming the fact that I'm going to talk with them tomorrow or whatever it is, most of the time they're watching it. And when I say most of the time, I'd say out of 10 exposures, I'm getting about 5 to 6 people to actually watch it within the given time that I'm reaching back out to them. That's half. That's 50%. And in baseball, that's really, really, really good. Okay. Not all of your follow-ups are going to hit you back. Not all of your follow-ups are going to turn into exposures. And I think we need to keep that mentality. We need to always be mindful of that, because this is a numbers game, and not every single person that you talk to is going to fully go through the conversation pipeline, from the start conversation to the exposure, to the invite, to the exposure, to the follow-up, to the decision collected, to the 3-way call, whatever. So I say something like this. Okay. You get to the point, as we talked about last week, in your conversation where you've built that rapport, that sense of rapport. And they're like, cool, yeah, I'm interested. I had somebody message me this morning saying, we got through the building rapport part, and he was like, yeah, I'm interested. Send me more information. I want to create another stream income, whatever he said. And I was like, cool, I have a private Facebook group that I can invite you to see how it works. If I added you to the page, would you be able to watch a 15-minute video sometime today that breaks everything down? You could even say, be able to watch a 15-minute video within the next hour. You could say that, okay, to give some even, like narrower context for that person. Okay. Would you be able to watch a 15-minute video sometime today that breaks everything down? Would you be able to watch a 15-minute video within the next hour, within the hour today that breaks everything down? They're going to say yes. And if they say no, they might, like I had a couple people say, no, not today, but tomorrow works better. Okay, great. Tomorrow morning, I'll send it to you, and we can, talk in the afternoon. Like, just go with whatever the conversation is saying. And then the next thing I'm going to respond in there is, awesome. I'll add and tag you in the first video to watch. And then you can say something like, I'll reach out with you. I'll reach out to you tomorrow to go over everything. I'll catch up with you tomorrow to go over everything. And that's it. And then I didn't put the link in here, but then you can put the link to the Facebook page in the text. Facebook link here. Oops. I always do that because I used to not put the link in there. And if you don't know where the link is, it's in the pinned post of the team chat. I used to not put the link in there, but then I would always get a bunch of people saying, oh, I never got your invite. And it was just this back and forth ridiculous thing. And it's like, well, now there's no excuse. They have the link. So I always send the link in there for them. And what I do right before I'm about to, send this text, because I got a yes from them here, I go and add them as a friend. I don't add them as a friend until they give me the yes that they're interested and want to check out the Facebook group. So then I add them as a friend. And what I can do, if they don't click on the link here, I can now, because I'm friends with them, add them to the Facebook page. Some of y'all need to get this beat in your head, this process, because some of y'all are making this harder than it has to be, or you're adding people that you never got permission from in the first place. Okay. So that's what I do. And then you get a notification once they actually are in the page, if you personally invite them, because if you don't invite them and they click on the link, I'm an admin now, guys. So I can, if you are adding people, I should say when you are adding people, I can very quickly approve them. The only thing is, if I don't get to it first and you don't tell me about it, for example, and they don't put your name, because they will ask them a question of who referred you. They have to put your name in there. Otherwise, whoever's an admin, they're not going to approve it. Okay. So we know, like, or if you invited him, it'll say, so-and-so invited them to the page. And then we'll be able to approve it. I think it's best to give a timeline so there's no dragging it out. Yeah. So if this doesn't really work, would you be able to watch a 15-minute video sometime today? You could say that, or if you wanted to narrow it down and say, within the hour, or, by 2 p.m., you could say that by 2 p.m., figure out what time zone they're on. Maybe you could do that in the building rapport, so you're not asking too many questions down here. If you know that they're on East Coast time, ask them, would you be able to watch a 15-minute video, today by 2 p.m. today? Does that work for you? And they're like, yeah. All right, cool. I'll add and tag you in that video to watch. And I'll reach out to you at 2. You could say something like that too, like very simple. So there's like multiple ways that you could go about it. And this is recorded, so you can, go back and hear everything. But that's the call today, guys. I wanted to just go over, those habits and those daily actions with your goals. And I wanted to be able to also go over with you guys, the follow-up, confirming, like making that confirmation in the conversation and the invite. But I think the biggest thing is not necessarily like, yes, what to say is important. Yes, how to say it is important, but you've got to switch up how you're talking to yourself up here, how you're prioritizing your life right now and the things that, you have in front of you. I love and appreciate all of you guys on this call. I'm so grateful that you choose to be here. You are intentional and deliberate about, showing up to these calls and being active and participating. That energy exchange means a lot to me, and it will mean a lot to your future team down the road if you continue to carry that heart, that energy, that attitude, that willingness of spirit. It's very important. So I hope that today's call was of value. I look forward to seeing you guys continue to win the day and getting clear on what that looks like. I'm going to be opening up over the next 7 to 10 days, potentially 10 days, for those that would like to jump on a check-in call together to maybe outline where you're at, maybe what needs to be taken care of. And maybe you already know that, but maybe this call will be not just a reminder of what you might need to be doing, but accountability. And this is the last thing, I wasn't going to talk about it, but the last thing I'll just mention, accountability is maybe what is holding a lot of you guys back, and including myself, from just literally exploding to the next level. And maybe it's not full on accountability, but I know that sometimes when I'm not where I want to be, it's because I'm hiding something from myself, and I'm not seeking submission from someone that I trust, that I like, that I know cares about me, to kind of pull that out of me in a way that's loving, in a way that's going to, allow me to grow and stretch myself in a positive, impactful manner, in a meaningful way. So over the next week or so, if you guys would like to set up a call together, whether it be more of a reminder and confirmation and clarity for you, or whether, it has to do with accountability and being able to kind of have that full on transparency conversation of like, look, this is where I'm at. This is where I'm working towards. And I would love and appreciate, accountability through you, XYZ. And we can do that. So I love you guys. I appreciate you. Crush your Saturday. Have a great rest of your day. And we will talk with y'all next time. Peace.